This is exactly what the Lakers needed, as we've gotten some more information on how the Lakers coaching staff views new addition Marcus Smart and what he can bring to this Laker team, not only defensively, but on the offensive side of the ball, as JJ Redick had some high praise for his new defensive guard and gave some possible insight into what his role could possibly be. Also, we got some information on JJ Redick's new extension as he enters year 2 as Lakers head coach. What's good? I'm Okechi Apakama, and this is the Lakers Digest coming at you with another video. And before we get into everything we have for today's video, I just remind you guys to subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already, because the Lakers season is almost around the corner. Media Day is on Monday, the 29th. So if you guys don't want to miss any of that action coming up here for this new season, make sure you guys are subscribed to Lakers Digest. All right, with that out of the way, let's hop straight into the topics we have for you today, as JJ Redick has big plans for Smart. So, we recently just had a press conference from JJ Redick and Rob Pelinka, and they talked about a myriad of things, ranging from how the team is going to be looking like this year, what their outlook is for LeBron, Luka, Austin Reaves, and some of the bigger name guys, and then also how the new additions will fare on this new team. But mainly, we're going to focus here on Marcus Smart, because Marcus Smart is a real difference maker, especially on the defensive end, and for the Laker team that really could use some defense. He is an important piece for this Laker team, and there is a lot of talk of what Marcus Smart possible role could be. And JJ Redick didn't want to be too forthcoming in his presser there, because he didn't announce who the starting lineup could be, but he did say about 7 or 8 guys on this team could be starters, and we can assume that Marcus Smart could be one, because Marcus Smart has been a career starter for most of his NBA career. So there is a lot of wonderings of what the Lakers starting lineup could be, but since we don't know that all of just yet, let's just take a look at what was said about Marcus Smart from JJ Redick, because he did have some very high praise for his new defensive guard and what he can possibly do for this Lakers squad. So JJ Redick talked on what Marcus Smart can provide as a veteran on this Laker team, and he said toughness, I already told him this, and we need his voice, his competitive spirit, defense, and Marcus can be a secondary ball handler. Now, that second part right there is pretty important, because secondary ball handler, that's usually more for a guy like Gabe Vincent's time, or even Austin Reaves taking up more time when Luka Doncic is not on the floor. So that is a very interesting thing to note from JJ Redick about Marcus Smart and what his role could possibly be for this Laker team. So not only is he looked at to be a guy that's going to obviously add defense to the team, but also he's looked at as a guy that possibly to be a playmaker as well. So that it was very forthcoming of JJ to tell us and also show us. But there was also more in that quote there. So this was the more expanded on the quote there, as he said, I say toughness. And this is him talking about Marcus Smart. I already told him this. We need his voice as part of communication, his competitive spirit. Defensively, he probably be a bit under the radar because of the last 2 seasons, but he still guards or grades out nearly every metric in the 80th percentile or higher, so he's still a very versatile defender. And that is going to be the number one thing the Lakers need from a guy like Marcus Smart, because of that point of attack defense and his ability to switch on a myriad of different positions from the 1, 2, 3, and maybe even 4 position. So there is a lot of versatility that comes with Marcus Smart defensively. But like I said, the biggest thing to note was really some of the offensive stuff that he was saying. So this was more from the quote from JJ Redick. This was the second part of the quote. And he said, and to me, he's always been a bit of an underrated playmaker. I think we Austin and Luka guys are obviously going to be the primary problem landers for us, but Marcus can be that secondary ball handler. So for the Lakers offense, which we obviously don't know what that's going to look like, we can assume though that LeBron James, Luka Doncic, and Austin Reaves are going to be the main ball handlers within this offense. However, though, you're going to need second side action players to create off of these guys, because they are going to be part of the main action. So this is where a guy like Marcus Smart can come into play as a second side ball player. If he's on the weak side and the ball swung to him, he's the guy that can attack and close out. He can make a good read, make a good pass, and just make a play with the ball, unlike some other guys that they may have had on the roster in the past. So let's say like a guy like Dorian Finney-Smith, who is a good 3-and-D player. However, though, he is not much of a playmaker. He can make the right pass, but he isn't a guy that is going to make a very good pass like a guy like Marcus Smart, who has point guard chops in his pass. So for JJ Redick looking for Marcus Smart to be more of that, it really begs the question, like, what is going to happen to a guy like Gabe Vincent? Because he was taking that role up for the Lakers most of last season, kind of being that backup point guard. This is more obviously before Luka Doncic was traded to the team. So even when he was traded to the team, he still became more of that like backup point guard, that trusted first guard off the bench, and that could possibly change with a guy like Marcus Smart coming into it. But like I said, there is a lot of questions on what the starting lineup could be. It seems like JJ Redick hasn't really confirmed on what that starting lineup could look like, but this I think gives even more insight into what this is going to be looking like for a guy like Marcus Smart, and this kind of leads me to believe that he is not going to be a starter. Maybe not full time. Maybe he'll have some spot starts here and there, but just the way of how Marcus Smart was coming off of two really injury riddled seasons in Memphis over there, where he just really couldn't play more, I believe, than like 35 games there. So just getting Marcus Smart back and healthy was a big talking point. JJ Redick talked about that in the presser of how the new health team and athletic staff is trying to get Marcus Smart to a point where he can play most of the games for the season for Lakers. So it wouldn't be a wash for a guy like Marcus Smart to come into the team and have him only play 30 games. If we can get him playing close to 65, close to 70 games, I think that'll be a big win for the Lakers. And in order to do that, you may have to bring him off the bench just because of the way he plays, with the intensity that he brings to each and every possession. He can be his own worst enemy at times just because he is trying to play extremely hard and then he ends up getting hurt in that long haul. So there could be, I can see a version of this where the Lakers are bringing him off the bench kind of just to save him some from himself and kind of keep the minutes down for a guy like Marcus Smart, so you can get him for more of the season instead of getting Marcus Smart as a starter for about like 20 to 30 games. Instead, you can like get him for a bench player for about 60 to 70 games, which will be a bigger help to the Los Angeles Lakers team. Now, obviously, what the other guys look like on that starting lineup is yet to be seen, but we can mostly assume who the starters are going to be just based off of the talent level. Obviously, you're going to have LeBron and Luka in there. Obviously, you're going to have Austin Reaves because he's the third best player. And then obviously, you're going to have DeAndre Ayton in there because he is your new starting center. So if all of those four spots are taken up, it's just that last spot really up for grabs there. And it's really, I think, between Rui Hachimura and Marcus Smart. Yes, Rui Hachimura, he brings you some offensive value, can bring you a lot of different things on that side of the ball. And he is a mismatch waiting to happen, especially when you have LeBron and Luka on the floor, because there isn't any like-sized players that can guard a guy like Rui Hachimura. However, though, Marcus Smart is more of a defensive-minded person, and he can really add to the defense there. So this is up to for JJ Redick to really decide and figure out what the Lakers are going to do. But that kind of leads me to my next topic here, because JJ Redick actually, we had some news on JJ Redick and his new contract that he received, which is a shock to some people here, where Redick receives a contract extension. So JJ Redick, after his first year of coaching, and for the most part, he had a very good season, finishing only third in the Western Conference, was able to take the Lakers to get home court advantage in the first round. Obviously, they flamed out there in the playoffs, but JJ Redick, for having a crazy season, having to change his lineups from here to there, having a massive trade sort of switch around the team, and also having his house burned down. That's a lot of things that we don't talk about JJ Redick. His entire house burned down, so he had to deal with that whole event going on with LA, with the LA fires and everything like that. So he had a really whirlwind of a year, was still able to have a great year, and that gave Lakers a lot of confidence to give him a new deal. So this was from Shams Charania from NBA Today, and he said JJ Redick got 2 additional years to his contract, now making his contract a 5-year deal worth $45 million, and it'll take him to the 29-30 season. So JJ Redick is now locked up longer than Luka Doncic. So JJ Redick is going to be part of this Laker organization for the foreseeable future, and the Lakers truly believe in his ability. And JJ Redick talked about some of the things that he learned from the first part of the season, and having him learn how to grow and just kind of get better at some things, because he was talking about how he is always sort of in a game mode, and that comes from being a player, being a competitor for so many years. And as a coach, he embodied that same type of ability when game days hit, but he sometimes didn't always translate that outside whenever they got off the court and got into the presser, and he addressed that in his press conference, saying that he had to get better at that. And there was some looking inward into that. And he also talked to other coaches around the league. He talked to Rams coach Sean McVay, which I thought was very interesting, and it was mostly just to learn how to obviously be a better coach. So JJ Redick is clearly trying to improve and get better, and that's already after having a great first season, despite of all of the fiasco that comes with being a Lakers head coach. And then, like I said, having his house burned down and just having to move up his family and just deal with that whole situation. So it hadn't been easy for a guy like JJ Redick, but the Lakers believed in him enough to fully give him 2 more years on his contract. But let us know what you guys think of that. Do you think the Lakers were justified for giving JJ Redick a contract extension? And also, let us know what you think about Marcus Smart. Do you think he is going to have a very vital role, like I believe he is on this team? And are you of the mind where he should be a starter, or do you think you're thinking like me, where he shouldn't really be a starter, just to protect him from himself, and so the Lakers can get more out of him in more of the season? Because there isn't a type of player on the roster like him, with the exception of Jared Vanderbilt, who is still a different type of offensive player. Let us know in the comments down below. And just one more thing for us, guys. There is 60% of you guys who have recently watched our videos who are not yet subscribed to the channel just yet. And if you guys want more of that Laker news, Laker updates, trade rumors, game recaps, just every and all things LA Lakers, you guys are going to come right here to Lakers Digest. All right. I've been your host, Okechi Apakama, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.